friends, and welcome back to my channel. Today is going to be my June wrap-up. I'm going to go over the 13 books that I read in one DNF. I tried my best to slow down this month, but there was another readathon, so slowly but surely I am slowing my pace down with the books because honestly, guys, your girl's a little burnt out. Just a little bit burnt out. So we'll go ahead and start off with the DNF of the month, and that would be the Thursday Murder Club. Just not for me. I really wanted to love this one because honestly, the premise of a bunch of old people getting together to solve crimes sounds like a really hilarious story, but I was just utterly bored. Not to mention completely confused. There are just way too many characters going on, and I really struggled with following along. I think I DNF'd around 20 to 30%. Not really sure, but honestly, it was a book club pick for Hannah's book club, and it looked like most people felt the same way, so I do feel a little validated. The next book on my list was The Idea of You, and that was my first and only 1 star. I wanted to love this one. I did read it for a readathon prompt. I really did not enjoy this story. I cringed at how the mom acted in this book with her child. I kind of just felt like it was just very irresponsible. A lot of the ways that she acted, a lot of the things that she did made me cringe, and I was just kind of turned off by that point. But the movie, I will say, is a lot better, and I think that the way that she acts in the movie is a lot different than in the book. So I did like the movie a lot better, but I just really didn't enjoy the book, and I felt that it was really boring. So my next book that I have is the Bromance Book Club, and this was the first 3-star that I gave, and I do have a reading vlog that I will link below where I go into more depth about this book, so I'm not going to talk much about it, but I did give it 3 stars. I really had thought I was going to love this one, but unfortunately the female characters in this book really drove me nuts, and so I had a hard time loving it because of those reasons. The next 3-star that I had was Wildfire by Hannah Grace. I did enjoy it, but I did not love it. There's just a lot of jumping into spice like quickly in this book, and it's a theme in her books. And I kind of knew going in that this wasn't going to be a favorite for those reasons, but I did want to just finish it for a readathon that I had, and it is a nice summer camp vibe for summer. It's kind of perfect for that, and I did like this one better than Icebreaker, but still don't love her books, and I probably won't be reading any more from her, so there's that. The next book that I have on my list would be the 4 stars. So the first 4-star that I read was A Fate Forged in Fire. This is an arc that I had, which is out now, and this is a Viking type of fantasy, but she is working in a forge, and she works with making knives and different stuff like that. That's her first encounter with the prince, and eventually she is forced upon a marriage. It's been so long since I've read this book. This was the beginning of the month. Anyways, it was a really good book, and I feel like it surprised me, but to be honest with you, I have forgotten a good bit of it, but I do recommend giving it a try. The next book that I read was Fake Skating by Lynn Painter. This was another arc I had. I did give this 4 stars. I will be honest with you though, it was a very generous 4 stars. It was probably more like a 3, and that is because the language in this book is extremely heavy, and it is a YA book. If this was an adult book, especially if it was like an action book, a fantasy or something, where it made a little more sense for there to be a lot of language, which by the way, there really doesn't need to be a lot of language in books, but I'm just saying it would be a little more understandable. This is a YA romance, and the F word was in this book almost every other page. And better than the movies. I don't believe I've heard any of that in that book, so that was really shocking to me and kind of off-putting at first. I did eventually enjoy the story and the love story, and that is why I ended up giving it the 4 stars, because I did love their romance. But honestly, that's a generous 4 stars for me, and it was just because I liked the couple. But the language is just really unnecessary in that book. The next book that I read was When the Day Comes. This was a surprise book given to me for my birthday by Keisha. I did end up really enjoying this one. and I gave this one 4 stars. It is a time travel historical fiction where she lives 2 different timelines at the same time. She is living one timeline during the day, goes to sleep, wakes up in another timeline. She has 2 different sets of parents and is essentially living 2 lives but in one body. And it is pretty crazy, but I ended up really loving this one. The historical part of it, didn't really love the time period, but I did really love the rest. The plot twist at the end, my jaw on the floor, and there is a vlog coming up for that. So look forward to that because you will get my shocked reactions of reading this book. It is a good time. The next book that I read that was 4 stars was Remarkably Bright Creatures. I read this with Keisha as a buddy read, and we both really enjoyed this. We both gave it 4 stars. The octopus Marcellus in this, oh my gosh, cutest thing ever. And the chapters about him, I just ate it up. I loved listening to him. He made me laugh so much. The connections, the relationships in this book were just beautiful and emotional. By the end, I was like, oh my gosh, I know what's going to happen. And I was just so excited that that is what ended up happening. I feel like it was just weaved together so beautifully. And I hear there is a movie coming out, so I can't wait for that. I just really had a great time. Perfect summer book. The next 4 star that I had was Middle of the Night by Riley Sager. This was a very big surprise for me because I went in with extremely low expectations because so many have not enjoyed this one. I ended up loving this one, and I'm really glad that I just went ahead and picked it up anyways because I tend to be a little different than most people when it comes to thrillers. I think this is still the same Riley Sager. I think that the only difference in this book is that it is slower, but other than that, it's just as atmospheric as all of his other books. I think that it's very much a Riley Sager book, and I really don't think he deterred from his writing very much, other than it is about a male character instead of most of his books always follow a female character. But I thought it was really well done. I didn't really notice or care that it was not a female character. So I really had a great time. I loved the vibes of it, and I binged it quickly and enjoyed the audio of this one. It is following Ethan, who is an adult, and it kind of is going back in time. So it is dual timeline where his friend was abducted or disappeared and no one knows what happened to him. So this is in the future where he's trying to figure out what happened to his friend that one night where they were both in a tent and his friend just kind of disappeared. And no one really ever found out what happened to him. And so it's picking up with the past and the present. You're kind of just trying to figure out, along with him, the clues, and the plot twist was pretty great in my opinion. I didn't see it coming, and I just really enjoyed myself. Okay, so the next book that I have would be Caught Up, and this was a 4.5 star. I loved this book so much. I'm really enjoying the Windy City series, especially the latter books. The first one was okay for me, but man, the others have really picked up in my love for them, and they just get better and better, honestly. I believe the last one was 4, this one's 4.5. I'm expecting the next one to be a 5, honestly. The single dad trope, my favorite. Love the baseball vibes. I never read a baseball book, but I really enjoyed that. But oh my gosh, just the emotional things that were written in here about him and his child and her kind of connecting with his child were just so emotional. I definitely cried in this book. Was a big surprise for me. Any book that gets me to cry is automatically going to be bumped up in rating. It was just really, really good. So if you don't know, he is a single dad and he meets this girl who is a pastry chef, and it is just so well done and really good story. Next books that I have are my 3 5 stars. So the first 5 star I have was Foxglove. This was such a surprise for me. I did read this for my rating vlog for Hannah, so I won't go into super depth about it, but I will link that below. And I loved this one. I ate it up. It is definitely way better than Belladonna for me, and I highly, highly recommend the series. I cannot wait to get into the next one. The next book that I read was Closely Harbored Secrets, and this was also in my vlog with Hannah. I also gave this 5 stars. I ended up going back and giving the first book in this series 5 stars. Live and Let Chai series is just unmatched when it comes to cozy mysteries, and I highly recommend that you read them. I really enjoyed myself with this one. I love Grady so much. There's just not much to be said because it is the 5th book, so I can't get into any spoiler territory. The last book, and of course, I would probably say the best book of the month, would be Sunrise in the Reaping. 5 stars, no one's surprised. Almost every single person I have seen has given Sunrise on the Reaping 5 stars. To get Hamish's story is honestly something I feel like we should have just expected we needed from the beginning, because it feels that it was always meant to be. This really just completes the series so well. Hamish is now become one of my favorite characters. I really didn't think too much about him before. I now do, and I knew that there was always something to the way that he acted. I knew that he had experienced some heavy things in the Hunger Games, but really didn't know how much he really truly went through. And it is just an emotional story beginning to end. It is so heavy, but I thought it was just beautifully done. And I hope that she gives us more from different characters' perspectives, because I thought this was just excellent. Hi friends, and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Wendy, and today we are going to finally finish off my wrap up. This is for July, and I'm attaching it to my June wrap up and hopefully getting this out this week. I am so sorry it has been a long time coming. It has been a very busy summer for me. As you guys know, I have 3 kids, and so it has just been a little bit crazy. Hopefully you guys can hear me good, but I just wanted to be outside. I wanted to do something different, and I'm hoping that this microphone will cut out all the extra weed eating and noise going on around me, but I just felt like this would be fun to just switch up the scenery. Fingers crossed you can hear me good. This is going to be 8 books and 2 DNFs. So the first DNF I wanted to mention was The Fated. I was sent this book by an author, and I really had high hopes for this because the premise sounds really great. They basically go on a ship and they're trying to escape their life, and they win like this ticket, and they're told that it will take them to like a better island and a better way of living. But unfortunately, this was just extremely slow paced. And it said it had like a fantasy element, and it sort of does. It was just taking too long to get there, and I was just way uninterested. There wasn't enough keeping my interest, but I also feel like the way that the book is written, it's just a little bit choppy. But this is following Amara, and she receives a ticket in the mail. She's a pianist. The boat is called The Fated. And then there's people are just supposedly going to start and go missing. So far, when I got in there, I think I was over 100 pages. Only one person had been missing, and just not a lot was happening since then. I just felt like I was expecting to have some more action. So I just ended up DNFing it. No matter how hard I tried, I just did not want to read this book. And so I just decided to be done with it. The next DNF was On Wings of Blood. So there's a trope in here that I was a little concerned about that I typically really hate in books, and so I did DNF that pretty early on at like chapter 4 when I thought it was going that direction. I have since been told it is not that way, so I may go back into this, so consider this a soft DNF. The first book I want to talk about is With a Vengeance, and I ended up giving this one 3 stars. This was Riley Sager's newest book, and I really had kind of low hopes for this book because I really do not like Agatha Christie, and I knew that he was kind of modeling this book after Agatha Christie. He did do that well. I just had hoped for Riley Sager that he would have added more that would have kept my interest, and for the first half, I just really wasn't entertained at all. I felt like I just did not connect with any of the characters. I felt like there was just not enough happening that really kept my interest. And I also just don't know for sure if I love locked room mystery, but we'll see. I don't know if I've read a really good one done that way. Anyways, I just didn't love it. I did end up loving the ending though, so that did redeem it because it was going to be a lot lower. So I do think it was worth finishing because the last, I would say 20% was the typical Riley Sager twist, and I absolutely adored the ending, and so that did bump up my rating to a solid 3 stars. So it was good overall, but just not my favorite. And then the next book I want to talk about was This Woven Kingdom. This one was for my book club. If you have read this book, I will link the discussion below for that. This was done at the beginning of July, and I really enjoyed it overall, but there were some parts in it that I felt like were kind of going towards the demonic, which is something I do not really like reading about. And specifically, the devil is a character in here, so I just wanted to let you know that. And so that was just really bothering me. He was in the background for most of the book, wasn't talked about again except for the beginning parts. He does come back up, but I just was so distracted by that. It was just really bothering me and made me uncomfortable that I was having a hard time being invested in the rest of the story. So that part I just wish would have been left out, because honestly, the rest of the story is really good and I don't feel like needed it at all to add any kind of entertainment value whatsoever. So I did give this a solid 3.5 stars. This is a Persian romantasy and it is young adult. It is clean. There's nothing really major going on other than that content. There's violence and language and stuff, but for the most part, I feel like this was a pretty straightforward, clean romantasy. And I do feel like the plot is going to get really interesting. I've just been told that the rest of the books just continue to get better and better. So I'm kind of waiting to hear some reviews from friends on the next several to decide if I want to continue or not, if that demonic theme is a big thing in those or not. That will really just be the deciding factor on if I even want to continue this series. But I have heard really, really great things about the rest of it. And I do love that the setting is in a desert. I have realized since reading this that that's something I'm really interested in. And I just felt like I was thinking of Aladdin the whole time, which the funny thing we talked about was that it's actually supposed to be a Cinderella retelling, which I didn't even realize at all. Now that I was told that, though, I can see that. But to me, I was just thinking of Aladdin the whole time because of the setting. And so it is really fun, and I do feel like the setting is something that I would really like to look for more books to have. The next book that I have on my list is Atmosphere, and I did review this on Gwen's podcast, so I'm not going to go into huge depth about it. If you want more, I will link below the podcast for that, but it is spoilers, so I will just give a quick synopsis, quick review. I gave this 1 star. I really hated this book. This book, in my opinion, really made me believe that it was going to be very heavily based on space, and I had expected it to go into depth about the training that you have to go through for space and just all of the exciting things that they could have put in this for the trials that she may have had to face to get into NASA and to go, into space and all of those things. It touched on it, but it was not the main thing at all. The main thing was definitely the relationship, and I was just not here for that. I was here for the plot and really was wanting that plot so much. I just had such high expectations for that, and I feel like it just did not have hardly any of it, and this one just really fell flat for me, and I just don't recommend it. I know there are people that are loving it, but as far as the overall consensus in the podcast, we felt like this was just not her best. And I think I just had way higher expectations for it. So sadly, it did get a 1 star for me. Okay, so then next I have The Summer I Turned Pretty, the second one and the third one. So I can't go into super big depth about this because it's the second and the third in a series, but I gave the second one 4 stars. I really, really enjoyed this one. I feel like it was just done so well. I loved the Jeremiah perspectives. And then the last one I hated, and I think I gave it 2 stars. I was really angry. And it is not because of who she chose. I was angry because of the lack of focus on who she was going to pick. I just think in the last one, she doesn't do a good job showing you everyone's perspectives and giving you enough of all the characters. And then the ending just felt like it was thrown together and it just felt really messy. It felt really messy, and I just don't think that she did a good job to give you every single side of every character. And I also think she threw some characters under the bus, and it just made me so angry. I feel like there were characters that were one way, and then she just completely switched them and made them a different way that was very out of character for them. And I was just really, really disappointed by this one. So sadly, I did give that 2 stars. I am watching the show, and I will say, so far, the show is done much better. There's still some things in it that I wish weren't, but it is overall, I'm feeling like better than the books are. Pictures of You was the book club read for Jordan's Patreon, which you should join because it is so much fun. And I had zero expectations for this book. I knew nothing about the author. I didn't even really know this was kind of like a thriller. And so I was really shocked when there was like twists going on. In my head, I was thinking that this was like general fiction. And so it really threw me off when twists started happening. But this book is such a good time, guys. I highly recommend that you read this and just have zero expectations because it is a wild ride. It is a really good audio. I highly recommend it. I did give this 4 stars, and I don't remember the characters' names, but it is following a female character who has amnesia from an accident, and she wakes up and she believes that she is 16 years old and does not remember the rest of her life. And she is like, wait, I'm not 16. I'm married. I have all these things going on that I didn't know about. And she's trying to like fill in the blanks for that. It is so crazy. It is so crazy. And I just think it was done so well. And I definitely want to pick up more by this author. So you should definitely check this one out. Okay, so then the last 2 books that I have is I Must Betray You, and I do not want to go super in depth about this one because I do have a reading vlog coming out for it, but I will tell you that it is 5 stars and it will not be my last book by Ruta Septes. I adored this. I adored this book. So this is following Christian, and it's in the middle of when there is so much Romanian oppression and rules, and you basically are strictly governed and you're not able to do a whole lot of anything. There's hardly any freedom. There are spies everywhere that are telling on you and watching you. If you even have anything that's American, whether it be a snack or anything, you are reported. It is so sad, I will tell you, but it is so eye-opening, and it is definitely a part of history that I have not read about. And I highly recommend that you give this one a try. And I am for sure going to read more from her. I'm not going to touch much more on it because I do want you to watch the reading vlog where I really dive into this one and you just get some raw moments of me in this one. It is probably one of my favorite books that I have read for a reading vlog thus far, and it was definitely a 5-star for me. Oh, I do want to mention that I thought this was a Christian author. I do think that she sometimes puts religious things in her books, but her books are not Christian, and I did not realize that. So I wanted to correct myself because I've said this in the past and it's not true. And so I do apologize that I said that. I think that most of her books don't really have that theme at all in it, but there are some that include a little bit of it. So I just wanted to put that out there. Then lastly, this is my nonfiction that I read over, I think it was all in July. I may have read a little bit of it in June, but mostly July. I flew through this one. It is also the first book that I have tabbed. I adore this book, and if you like reading Christian nonfiction, I really, really encourage you to read this one. It is phenomenal. Jackie Hill Perry has such a way with words. She is so poetic. Her audio for this is incredible. I did find that on Hoopla and I tandem read with it. I just think that she is so passionate when she speaks, and so she does such a great job with her audiobook. But this is incredible. It is obviously some basic knowledge about God being holy, but it is something that you can never hear enough of, and it is done in such a way that is so convicting, and I don't know, it just gets you so much more passionate about the holiness of God. And I feel it is so important to kind of go back to those basics sometimes and just remember who God is and how holy He is and why we worship Him. And so I adored this book, and it is something I will be holding on to and rereading, and it deserved my tabs, let's just say. I do think that I will start tabbing nonfiction books because I just don't go back and look at the tabs in other books. I don't really see myself doing that. I do like to highlight on Goodreads for regular books, but I don't like to mark them up or tab them or anything. But with nonfiction, I do feel like it is important for me to tab and to highlight and all of those things because I do go back and look at them. I do write them down, like just different references that I want to go back and look at and be able to see. And so I feel like that is much more worth it for me. So that is all I have for today. I again apologize that my videos have been very slim. It is really hard when it is summer break and all of the kids are home to find time that is quiet, but I will be more regularly posting videos when school starts here in a few weeks. And so look forward to that. But I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. Let me know in the comments below what was your favorite read of June or July. And until next time, friends, remember to read what inspires you. Bye!